Hello and welcome to All Brother, a podcast about Salford/Manchester's finest musical institution, The Fall. Each week we invite our guests to discuss their memories and relationship with the group, as well as whatever tickles our fancy. This time we speak to our good friend Daren Garrett, drummer with such luminaries as David Lance Callahan and the Nightingales, and also a member of a two-drum lineup of The Fall. Wonder how that worked. Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Oh Brother with me, Paul Hanley.
And me, Steve Hanley.
We've just thought, we've never sat this way around before, have we?
No.
This will mean nothing on the podcast, but I normally sit on the left and the right.
Okay.
We'll soldier on. We'll rise above it. We'll rise above it. Okay, and so we're delighted to welcome today our very special guest, Daren Garrett, otherwise known as Dazzler. How are you, Darren? All right?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you, Paul. How are you?
Marvellous. So we normally start off, the question is how when you first came across The Fall, either on record or live, or which was it?
It would be hearing Sport Victorian Child in Peel session, and that was around the same time that Peel was playing old sessions as well. Revisiting, like, I don't know if it was a 10-year punk course, would it have been? But anyway, and I heard Industrial Estate and Bingo Masters at around the same time. Right. So, yeah, to be Sport Victorian Child, Bingo Masters and Industrial Estate, courtesy of John Peel, of course.
You live in about 10 then?
About 14, 15.
Right, okay, yeah. So the other thing is, so when you started that, do you then go backwards or forwards? Was that the latest thing then, Sport Victorian Child? That just come out?
Yeah, and the first album I bought was Ben Sinister, because I saw This Nation Saving Grace in our price, and I knew, I didn't know a lot about The Fall, but I knew there could be mercurial, and because it was a gatefold, I assumed it was a double, and it might be too much in one go, so I bought Ben Sinister instead.
Fair enough, yeah. So had you started drumming by then?
Yeah, I had, yeah.
How old were you when you started?
Yeah, but, and just Mo Tucker, Nick Knox style. That's how I started.
What a drummer he was.
And then completely self-taught, listening to the music I loved. So it was all Big Flame, Eyewitness, Stump, Beefheart and the pop group.
Beefheart? Ambitious, isn't it, for a young drummer?
It was because of Stump, it's because of those sort of Ron Johnson groups. I mean, the first Stump interview I read was called Trek Mass Replicants, and I got to admit it was. I think that's how I got burnt. While I was nervous about This Nation Saving Grace, because when I first heard Trek Mass, apart from Moonlight on Vermont, it just completely befuddled me. And but then
still befuddles me to this day.
Yeah. But Safe as Milk was sort of my when it clicked.
Yeah.
And then this is still one of Robert Lloyd's favourite stories. Is I admitted that so I'd always set myself benchmarks of songs to learn, and so I knew. So from sort of Pete Thomas, because I loved the Attractions when I was a kid. So Pete Thomas's drumming was a big influence, and then I progressed, and the Rosetta Stone for me, the one I had to get was learn Lick My Decals Off Baby. And it was about 10 years after trying to learn this that I discovered it was double drummers. And different things.
He's another that's passed me by Zappa.
You are?
He's another that's passed me by, Frank Zappa. Never been a fan of Frank Zappa.
No, I can't stand Zappa. I like the song Willie the Pimp, but that's a Beefheart singing. But actually, I don't mind those first two Mothers albums, but there's no soul for me. It's too clinical and too clever.
Yeah. Too clever by bloody half.
Too clever by bloody half for a working class boy from the Black Country.
Well, you're a left-handed drummer on a right-handed kit. Like
no,
Ringo.
I'm left-handed both.
Oh, do you? Oh, right. Well, must have been watching the film backwards when I saw you. You looked like you were playing a right-handed kit.
Well, was he moving your kit every night when they played?
Yeah,
of course. I blocked that from my memory.
I was banned from using size.
I'd like to say that me and Si were both saying, no, he's using mine tonight, but it was... Leading penny. I mean, I have to say, my wife and all three of my children are left-handed. I have no problem with left-handed
right.
except when they're using my drum kit.
It's one. I'm grateful, really. It's the one reason I never learned to play guitar was because it just seemed more trouble than it was worth to either get it restrung or do a Hendrix. So I just stuck with hitting things.
It's not that much work, Jesus. Once. You're going to do it once, yeah. So you don't play guitar at all?
I don't play anything except for drums.
Well, as usual, lad. You do a bit of singing. I was watching you singing at Glastonbury.
That's stretching the definition. I could do a good impression of somebody.
So, what was the first band you were in then?
The first band, we were school band, and we were called Martin's Overcoat. And it was
Martin.
Yeah, I don't know where that name come from, but that was at secondary school, and the bassist was a guy called Alex Griffin, who then went on to be in Ned's Atomic Dustbin. So.
Where you go with that when you said Ned's? It would have been one of them other Ned's bands, would it?
So that was our school band, and then when we went to college, we went separate ways. So then we the rest of us transformed into this group called Fridge Death, who were very influenced by what we were trying to be Black Country's answer to the Butthole Surfers, really. So we got really into the Surfers and Swans and stuff like that. And of course Ned's went their pop way, and I went to see the group. I went to see AC Temple in Birmingham, and it happened to be Godflesh's first gig. And there was this group called Hole, who later changed their name to Pram, and they absolutely blew me away. So I became really good friends with Pram, and Frigideth and Pram had played loads together. And then when Andy left, I got the call to join Pram. So the first proper group I joined was Pram in '93.
Right, okay. How old are you then?
22. I was just 22 when I joined.
Veteran then by then. So how did that then morph into Pubic Fringe, or was that a lot later?
Yeah, that was again the Fringe was two of us out of like Skid the singer and myself have been we'd all been friends in school, and Pete was the year below us, but he's only a couple of 7 months younger than me. Yeah. And we used to have like Tuesday nights around my house, just listening to old garage and listening to the Standells and the Sonics and stuff, and just generally having a laugh. And we decided, because Pete was in this other group, like doing sort of like Bill Callahan type stuff, I suppose you'd call it Americana stuff, and he's a bass player originally, Pete. And it was only because we just decided to, instead of being around my house on a Tuesday night, we decided we'd use their lock-up rehearsal room that they had, because you spend our Tuesday nights making a racket and getting pissed till 2 a.m. round there, and that's how it started. It was just
2 a.m. Till 2 a.m. What did the neighbours say?
It was brilliant. It's like in this office block next to there was a bit of an alley, and the pub, the Wellington, next to it. And I remember the very first rehearsal, and it was still going about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I clearly remember we were doing "Cock in My Pocket" by the Stooges at a horrendous volume, And then you suddenly, so you got the window of our rehearsal room, the gully, and then what must have been like the living areas of the pub. And you just suddenly, after all this, the end of this feedback, the landlord just shouting, "You're really fucking racking me off now." So that's when you decided to sneak out.
Very considerate. Cock him in pocket at 2 a.m. Jesus Christ. That's pissing your pop off, that.
The rehearsal room has a window.
Yes, yeah, most of the ones we have, they don't, you can't see the light in the day.
It was part of, well, I think they stopped having groups after us because it was part of it was old office blocks. So I think there was a printing press downstairs and we used to have the upstairs room.
Yeah.
In this, this old office block. So happy days.
Yeah, so that was pretty big fringe by then, was it?
Yeah.
You had some good supports, didn't you?
Well, we did.
I've been been following you.
And that all. Well, that all started with the fall, really, because I've been friends with Eleanor since the Pram days. When Pram used to go to Germany.
How did you meet Eleanor?
Well, when Pram toured, when we toured with Stereo Lab. She was living in Cologne and was the neighbour of Jan from Mouse on Mars. So groups passing through would very often stay with Eleanor. So we stayed with Ellie when we did the Stereo Lab tour. And then when we did the Mouse on Mars tour the following year, we had 3 days in Berlin. And me and her just spent all 3 days together and went to the pictures and went to pubs, and we became really, really good friends from then on. So that's how I knew Ellie. And so it was quite a surprise when she invited me to see them on the to say she was travelling. She didn't tell me she'd married Mark. She just said she was travelling with the Fall. She was on the Unutterable tour. And,
that's a good way for it, isn't it? I'm travelling with the Fall, yeah.
And she told me that night, which was quite a shock. And I was always, and because she hadn't long moved over, so I was always sending, primarily doing mixtapes or CDs, I suppose it would have been, of rockabilly and stuff. And we just done our first demos, all these just daft covers. And they really liked it. And when they played the Beer Keller in Manchester, and Mark asked us to support. And this is a very funny story. So what happened was we got asked to support them at the Beer Keller, and Pete was due to be going. He was meant to be going on holiday at that time. Him and Anna had booked a holiday. I think it was a camping holiday or something.
Right.
And he made her cancel it and rearranged because this might be his one and only chance of playing with the Fall.
Hey.
So that's what Pete did.
Are they still together?
Yes, they are. They are. So we did that, and then they really enjoyed our set. Apart from that, doing that fucking Peru song. So I thought, well, how come you know it if you hate them that much? Because we used to be final sleeves. And then they played the Robin 2 in Bilston and asked us to support there because the promoter really liked us and we went down really well. They'd got the Damned coming up, and of course Damned supports notoriously have a difficult time, and he thought we might fit the bill, not just another dumb punk group. And it took a while to sort of be, to win people over, and but we're slowly getting there. Then suddenly people really started to get into it, and I clearly remember we were doing Lee Hazelwood's song, "My Baby Cried All Night Long," and all these punks suddenly started really getting into it, and that's when I turned around and saw Vanian and Sensible at the side of the stage dancing. And what had happened was Vanian had stayed behind the venue, really liked us, called Sensible in his hotel room and said, "You better get down here and see these fuckers." And Sensible did come down, and they loved us, and then asked us to support them at Stourbridge. the Fall asked us to support them at Stourbridge. Then when they announced that the Magic Band were playing, I got in straight away and nabbed the support. Much to the chagrin I later discovered of Robert Lloyd, who'd been trying to get support for the Nightingales. This was before I knew him. And we pipped him to the post.
What was that like? The Magic Band?
Great. It was brilliant. I mean, we couldn't do our usual covers of Sure Enough and Yes I Do, but they were lovely. John French was a bit standoffish, I thought, but the others were they were lovely. Gary Lucas is particularly really nice bloke. But one thing that John French did say that stuck in my head, and it's a line I've used now, because I just, again, thanked him for his influence and, you know, and how much his drumming meant. And he said, "Oh, I just had good ideas." And I thought that was really quite a nice line. So that's how Drumbo described himself.
Yeah, Drumbo, of course, yeah. But I mean,
it was just luck of being in the right place at the right time, really.
Okay, and then at some point, Robert must have got over his annoyance at you, because you ended up in the Nightingales.
He didn't know. Again, that was I was in the singles club, and so I used to email him.
Is that just where you used to go on a Thursday?
Yeah. That's where I met Robert. No, when they'd relaunched, they had like this 7-inch singles club. So I was writing to him, and I went up one time and see him, and I gave him the Fringe CD. I don't think he ever listened to it, but I got this really weird long email. Asked him for a support, and I got this really weird email. And it seemed quite detailed. Wanting to know, were we all in proper jobs? Had we got families? Had we got responsibilities? Had we known each other a long time?
What, support? This is what the question I sent out to support.
Well, that's what I thought. One of the questions was, "And is your drummer any good?" And I'd say, "Well, yeah, I am actually." It turned out he was going through one of his customary, "I fucking hate them all and I'm going to sack all the Nightingales." And he'd really hoped we were a bunch of young 17-year-olds. This might sound familiar. He could shape and mould and would do anything for the pleasure of being Nightingales. But no. And I said, look, and at the same time, you've got Rob and Mark trying to get me, Pete, and Steve in their groups, and because I'd already signed. But what I'd said to him was, because I'd got quite an important job, I suppose, at the time. I was working all over the country, and this was in the October. He said, we've got some like gigs, and we've got some recording, some demo, some sessions to do. And I said, well, I'd love to do it. It'd be an honour to do it, but I could only do it till, say, the new year, say till January.
Right.
And so I had my interview, my rehearsal was in the Wetherspoons on a Monday night, and we got on he didn't even know if I could drum. But the Fall were playing the Wolfram in a couple of weeks, and his son Lewis wanted to go, so he'd already got tickets for that. We were supporting, so it just so happened that he did come, and he said, yeah, you can drum. And but he also, because we got on, it was just really funny on that night in Spoons, and he was just saying, you won't be leaving after January. He just said, you're going nowhere. And this was just us, after Guinness and Jameson's night. So that's how, again, just look, I joined Pram, who were my favourite band. I then joined the Gales, who were one of my favourite groups. And then, after numerous attempts to snare me, I eventually joined the Fall. I turned mine down a few times.
So how did that go down when you joined the Nightingales? How did that go down with the rest of your band? Or
it was the beginning of the end, really.
I can imagine.
It upset a lot of people, especially Mark Smith. Especially, remember, drove Ted to a gig in Liverpool, and we'd started to meet Mark. Yeah. So I was Ted's driver, and on the way up.
Mark was after you at the same time, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And I used to drive Pete up to rehearsals.
When he was headhunting you, who was in the fall? Who was the drummer?
It's the Yanks.
Ah,
You've got the Americans in, haven't you?
So that was
You've got the Americans in. And they were. I'd gone down to see him in London, and he's Pete said, "Oh, Mark wants to meet us in the hotel lobby." And he said, so I was sitting in that lobby and said, so has Eleanor told you yet? I said, told me what? He said, you're drumming in the fall? I said, what do you mean? He said we got this festival in Cork, I think it was. And you're drumming. I said, what date's that? And he was like this. I said, Mark, if it was the Friday, I'd have done it. I said, but I can't. I said, the Saturday is the first night. I said, we've just done this record with the Gales. It's the first, it's the first record they've done in years, and it's the first night of the tour. That's all I said. I didn't say anything else. And he said, "What? You'd rather play in fucking Bristol with the fucking Nightingales and Ted Chippington? They're fucking far."
Not bad impression.
Not bad. It's up there. We've had a few. That's not bad.
I said, well, look, Mark, I said, the Nightingales are my group now. I said, no, I'm a man of honour, and I thought you, of all people, would appreciate that. So that was the first.
Fast will get you nowhere.
So that was the first time I had to turn him down, and it was quite funny. He said, "That's the shortest. That's the shortest appointment I've ever had," which made me laugh. And then the next time, he tried to get me again, but I think it's because again I didn't say so because he always knew much more than he let on. So he knew I was playing in Bristol, and he knew Ted was the support act. So he must have been keeping tabs, and he knew what was going on. And then the one night I got a phone call. We were doing a session for Mark Riley on BBC Six, and then playing in Salford after doing the session. And they were in the van going down again to London, and Mark got Eleanor to ring and say, Daren, Mark, do you want to come down to London tomorrow and do double drumming? We're going to do John Key's. I said, well, that's lovely, and I'd love to, but I'm doing a session for Mark Riley. And it's like, well, you must come down. I was going, I can't. Thank you for the offer. And I could hear him cackling in the background. So that was the second time. And then he kept trying to get me to be tour manager. And I said, I'm daft, but I'm not stupid. I've seen the way I'm not going to fucking do that. Just because you want me, you think I'm good at, got the old psychic nose, or whatever. But it was only because they got this gig in Cologne again. It was a bastard's trick of his again, really. Keiron had said when Louise was about to have the bab, so they knew he knew a due date. They knew it now, so he said, I can't do anything this time. So they booked this festival in Cologne, bang on the baby's due date.
Imagine that, Steve.
So I went over, so I did that, and that was meant to be a one-off, but it went down really well. Again, it was really funny. It was sat in the dressing room, he had a separate dressing room, there was just me and him at the end, and he was thanking me, and he said, it's really nice to have someone nearer my age in the group. I said, I'm only fucking 7 months older than Pete. But Pete said he said this isn't going to be. Pete said this won't be a one-off. He said I think you'll want to do double drumming, and then Keir come back and I was in the group. Well, I'd actually done a session for the Remainder. I was on that.
All right.
Again, he'd asked me, did I want to be on drum on the record, but he hadn't told Keiron until that day. Thankfully, we really got on, but I did feel really awkward and bad about it. But I let the lads get on with it. I went to the pub and just waited for the call. Yeah. And and just went over once Keiron and Dave and Pete. So thankfully, me and Keir had always got on. Yeah. So it was no show. I think it was one of his. Again, kick up the art, trying to put the frighteners on the poor lad. So, but it worked out. It all worked out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he needed improving in any way, did he, Keiron? Bloody hell, what a drummer.
No. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mean having you join as well. I mean, that's a different thing. He didn't need somebody over his shoulder saying, "This look what's waiting if you don't shape up."
Certainly not. Unless he just wanted a change of direction. He did bring the change of direction. I mean, again, I didn't get any credit on it. And the only reason it came out that I was on it was Eleanor was getting pissed off with people saying how brilliant Keiron's drumming had suddenly become. And then so she revealed that it was two drummers.
In all this, was there any rehearsals involved in any of it?
We had, before the Cologne gig, we had one rehearsal in Ding's studio. And because Mark, because again, there was no sign then that this was going to be anything more than a one-off. Got Ding to get the tapes rolling, so we did. They'd got like a handheld recording of them doing Facebook troll. So we drummed. So that was great. Actually, they put it through the monitors, and it ended up coming out on this German compilation. So it's me drumming for about the first 5 minutes. So it's just the four of us, and then they're bringing the group's rehearsal tape underneath. Oh, wow. That's a cracking version. So it's the first time we've done that. And then he said to Pete, "Well, have you got any ideas?" And we ended up doing Auto Chip as a jam, and that was recorded, and that was put out on that live Europe record with another version of Amarator off Reminder, but with Eleanor singing.
Right.
So that was one rehearsal, and we ended up.
In terms of getting ready for the gig,
one rehearsal for the gig, and we ended up recording 3 songs.
I'm going to say, in terms of getting ready for the gig, it wasn't much cop, really, was it?
No.
How did the gig go?
It went well. It was a good one. It's a bit of a blur because it was pinch me sort of thing. Is this really happening? But we got through it.
What percentage of the set had you heard before?
I think pretty much all of it.
All right.
I think pretty much all of it.
Spoiled rotten.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You
surprises, but
I'm thinking of other people.
All right. Yeah. Tommy was the one, wasn't he?
Tommy, yeah.
When Tommy joined on guitar, they gave him a cassette with how many songs on?
A list of 10 songs, and none of them were in the set.
I don't think any. Again, as you two know, so the actual set we played bore no resemblance to what was written down. Yeah. But thankfully, I could pretty much wing my way through it.
So how was it playing with Keiron then?
Great. We had a stinker of a gig. One of the first ones we did in Warwick, but that was largely to do with the monitor mixing. And we couldn't hear each, and how important it is to hear each other.
Yeah.
But what we'd done, so I really chuffed with how Sublingual Tablet came out, and the Reminder really, because we really worked hard to write contrasting drum patterns.
Yes.
So rather than just do double the same thing, we worked really hard on on getting good things going together. But it could be a bastard live again, as you know.
Yeah.
We were playing in Italy, and it was like an outdoor thing, like with the Buzzcocks and Spiral Carpets. That was a cracking gig. And Mark and I must have been in the hotel room listening, and then word came down through Simon that Mark said, "Tell Daren to lose the bass drum tonight." And that's when it went to me doing the standing up, more percussive, and then it really started to work well then.
Yeah,
because we didn't have to worry about the bass drum thing, help each other out. So that's when it really took off. I think was when I just used to stand up.
Right, and how long before that big Glastonbury gig was that then?
About a year.
Right, okay. So were you playing every gig then, or was it on and off?
No, it's every gig. I only missed one because I had a big asthma attack. And he threatened to send Ed Blaney down to keep me company. I said, no, you're all right.
I've never seen anybody get better in my life quicker.
That was the only one I missed because I was in hospital.
And what was the atmosphere in the band like at the time?
It was great. It was genuinely really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I got no idea that Mark and Eleanor were having the issues they were having, and I think ultimately that was why I was dispensed with, because I'd even sorted out my visas and everything to go to. Actually, paid for my visas and everything to go to Australia with them.
Right.
And I'd made the mistake of, because Gay and I had just moved into this flat. So again, up until that point, if I got a call saying we've got a gig, to be right, okay, I'll be there. And again, you'll understand this. The biggest mistake I made was when I rang Eleanor and said, well, I'm probably going to have to just need a bit of notice from now on. And most importantly, because I might have to get a part-time job or some sort of job, have some sort of guarantee of what I'm going to be getting paid and when I'm going to be getting paid. And she said, well, you'll have to talk to Mark about that. And then I never spoke to Mark again. I saw Pete in town and he said, what's this about? You've resigned? I said, I haven't resigned.
You might as well have.
He said, oh, no, Eleanor said that you resigned, you can't do it anymore. And I said, and whenever I tried to ring the house from then on, I could never speak to him. And one time this woman, Pam, answered, but I assumed it was his sister.
Right.
So I hadn't got a clue, But Mark did say to Pete in Australia something like, which I'm glad I didn't go, because I gather the atmosphere of that was absolutely horrendous because it did all come out into the open. And he basically, in the hotel that night, he basically said to Pete, please tell Daren, this isn't personal. It's got nothing to do with him, but with the situation me and Eleanor, he said, I've just had to let all that, all the Eleanor side go.
Oh, right, okay.
But the atmosphere was generally really good. I mean, so the four lads always, we really got on.
Good lad,
yeah.
And we'd just have a laugh. And
I mean, it does sound. Whenever you hear Keiron when you hear Keiron or Pete talk about that time, it does sound genuinely fabulous, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was. We used to have a while of a talk, and any bullshit and any daftness, and you just ignore it.
Yeah.
It was like water off a duck's back to us. So we just let them carry on with it.
So how did you? What happened with the Nightingales then? How did you leave them to join the Fall, or was there a gap? Or?
No. That was that year. I should have just asked for a year off, really. My dad died, my marriage went downhill, I was homeless, but Stuart Lee's interest in the girls was picking up, so he was doing his meltdown, and so there was a lot of commitments coming up, and instead of just being straight with Rob, I did the worst thing, and I tried to keep all sides happy, because the last thing I didn't want, this is my second divorce in 1 year. But instead of being straight and just dealing with stuff, I pissed him around just one time too often, and that was it.
Right. Okay.
So,
how long between the Nightingales and joining the Fall?
So I left the girls in 11 and I joined the Fall in 2 years.
Oh, right, okay. And you were you sorted yourself out by then, I presume?
I sorted myself out by then, yeah. I got out, so, I got myself a little flat in Brierley Hill, because I've been living in Warsaw, which was horrible. I sorted myself out, and it came just at the right time.
Right. So, I was going to ask you about that Glastonbury gig, because it's quite a gig, that, wasn't it? 2015?
Yeah, it was. It didn't feel anything special at the time. It was just one of them. I mean, we said, we weren't allowed to treat it as anything special.
No, yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing. I loved the fact of him, calling out drop out boogie, which, you know, and the look, you know, Pete, drop out. And everyone's going, we've never fucking played it, you know. But thankfully, you know, because we knew it. And again, that was one where we were due to go on, but I was absolutely busting for a piss. And I said, Mark, I said, you all right? I said, no, I said, I really need a piss. I said, but we're due on. He said, look, before go on, when I say the four go on, if you need a piss, you go and have a piss. So I run to the...
We're on the telly. You can't be doing that.
This is before we go on, so I run to the porter cabin, and then as soon as I shut the door, good evening, we are the phone.
Brilliant.
That's what I had to see me come running on, you know, right through the first song.
So were you there when he ran into the Fat White Family then?
Yeah, again, that's it. That was something and nothing. I don't, you know, I think they've tried to make out it was more than it was, because they were trying to be a bit lippy, but then, of course, you got Keiron and Keiron and Dave stood up, and it all went a bit quiet, you know. So I think they've, you know, when the Rottweilers came out, they sort of calmed down a bit.
Yeah. No regrets then? Or it must have been a bit gutted.
No, I was gutted about not going to Australia and New Zealand. And probably because in New Zealand, one of my old mates from home was there, and he put on a real lavish party for everybody, and which the lads really welcomed.
Yeah.
So it would have been nice to have seen Matt. But from, again, what I gather about the atmosphere within the ranks at that time, I'm glad I didn't go. And after because I think it was an endurance.
Yeah. So what did you do? What did you do after that straight away?
Nothing. I thought I was done, and then Dave came a calling.
Okay.
So I'd known Dave from the Pram days because he was in Moonshake, and we were on the same label, and we'd always got on, and had always kept in touch. And at that time, so it was lockdown sort of period, but they were talking about doing the Moonshake reissues.
Yeah.
And I knew Mig, the Moonshake drummer, had stopped drumming. And I think I just said something like, look, if ever you do any gigs to do the reissues, bear me in mind. But he didn't have that, but he had started work on his solo stuff.
Yeah.
So he just sent me some stuff for that. Oh, and I'd also done the Common Cold with AJ.
Right.
Because again, that was another one where that was just a weekend's work. And again, AJ asked me to go up, and I went up on the Saturday, we rehearsed, and then recorded on the Sunday.
Good way.
So I did the Common Cold album. And then it's been Dave's. I'm just loving working with Dave now.
Yeah, it's good that, and it's just the two of you. It's quite clear.
Yeah, I was going to say, not thought of putting a band together.
Just if he could get a grant, he would, but the money's not there, and he's a man of integrity. We can just about cover our expenses. And it's and if he can't pay somebody, he doesn't want to do it. But we've been lucky again because the label we're on in the last album. I mean, he's got friends, so he can call on people to come in and do stuff. And Tiny Global, they got the record label. They got this relationship. Well, of course you're on it.
We're familiar with it.
The Elefanti Studios in Valencia, they've got this relationship with like the local music store, so that's how we managed to get all the string quartets and all various horns and stuff on, to come and play on the record.
Okay, well, why are you recording in Valencia and we're in New Bloody Islington?
We're in South.
Talk to you. I don't know. I've also done. I went over to do. Because actually, the House of All, I must thank you for this. At the first night at the garage, Johnny Langford was there, and I was talking to Langford, and I don't know, we were just talking about something. And I said, because I've always had this dream of combining my two loves, which is like dub reggae and rockabilly, and inventing Dubabilly. And John just went...
Hang on, just run back by me again. Dub reggae and rockabilly. How's that going to work?
You'll hear soon.
I'm intrigued to hear.
Langford just went, the boy's a genius. And he went, and because John Henderson was there, he went, Hendo, the boy Dazzler here is a genius. We've got you. We're a new group. We're going to do rock Dubabilly, and you're going to put it out. And John went, yeah, okay. So we went over to Valencia last year.
Yeah.
Again, with no ideas, nothing. We've got 3 days. We ended up writing and recording 8 tunes. But now, because he's so busy with the Mekons, what we've got to do now is spend a week doing production and versioning them. So it'll be like a rockabilly song. We tried to dub some as we went along, but then it's going to be like proper old Lee Perry, like a tune, a version, a tune, a version. And I'm getting Ted involved with that as well. Not doing his usual shtick, but Ted's just got loads of like tape recordings of things off the telly and stuff, and he even spent. He was because he's a Celtic fan, Ted is, and he was at the Old Firm game, and he just recorded the whole game from the terrace. So he's got recordings like that. So I want to use Ted as like as a sound manipulator, I suppose, on it. But it's just getting the time now to pin Langford down. So that's all we need is a week to do it, you know. So
I am definitely intrigued to hear the much trodden
you listen to proper old Sun Rockabilly and Charlie Feathers and stuff, and it can, especially Charlie Feathers, it is weirdest. It could almost be dub, you know. It's just
you get that slap back, don't you? If you get that.
And just going mental with it.
Great.
And what about you and David Callahan?
We've got some gigs coming up. He's forever writing. God knows how many songs he's got bubbling away. But again, it's just it's a difficult situation because of him living in London and me living, you know, in Dudley. And again, we don't rehearse before a gig anymore. We just sort of turn up and rehearse in sound check. So we've got some gigs up next couple of weeks, but we always try to add a couple of new ones in. So we were very lucky with the last album because of doing the tour with yourselves. We managed to pretty much get the album knocked together on the road. That really did help. Yeah. So then when we went into the studio, it was a piece of piss, really.
I'd love to do that, mate. I mean, I don't know if it's practically possible, but you know, where you have songs, you then play them live, and then you record them.
That's the first time. That's the first time I've ever done it in any group.
We've done it with The Fall a few times, not a full album.
No.
But it would be good to, because half the ball's the other way around, really.
Yeah.
So you record them and then you play them live.
Learn them, yeah. But it's that whole momentum thing, isn't it? It's always wanting to do the next thing and not keep looking back.
That's right, yeah.
We did it with the Gales, actually, to be fair, a fair bit. Because I think when we did Out of True, that was basically clearing all the decks. But then we'd road test stuff before we recorded it with the Gales a lot of the time.
Right. Okay. Well, I hope the gigs go all right with David.
Thank you very much. I'd like to come and you're not playing around by me again, but I do want to come and, you know, see you again soon.
We've got 3 dates for the rest of this year. We're doing recording, but we're playing Liverpool and Leeds, basically, because we never play Liverpool or Leeds for some bizarre reason. And then Manchester we're playing because, obviously, well, you know, we do.
Of course, I'm dying to come and see you with Carl, because I bet that's just about a whole new.
It's great, It's really great, actually, to play with Carl again. And to watch Simon and Carl's is a real pleasure as well, you know.
Yeah.
Watching
I never saw that lineup first time round. I never saw yourself, to be fair, because, again, I was too young. The first full gig I saw was the Friends Experiment tour. So I didn't actually get to see the full like till 88.
Carl wasn't there after that, wasn't he?
No, so
he came back again.
He came back after that.
Yeah, he came back again, but I'd sort of fallen out of love a bit. Actually, that's not true. I was working with Pram so much. You know, it's like when you're gigging all the time yourself. You don't get to see stuff. You know. So
Last thing you want to do is go and see a bleeding band, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm going to see my old mucker. God knows, it's either going to be fantastic or it's going to be a car crash.
Well, that's the best.
Rob's interviewing. He's interviewing Kevin Rowland tonight, doing his.
Brilliant! Yeah.
But so it's an evening with Kevin, and Rob's the MC. You know, Rob's doing the Robin 2 in Bilston.
Okay, so still going now.
The Wolf, and we've moved to the Robin. So
brilliant. Now I'm looking forward to reading the book. Actually,
I can't wait. He's a big hero of mine.
Yeah. Me too. We talked about that, the difference between the Fall and Dexys in terms of both been going a similar amount of time.
Yeah.
Both had a lot of people through the doors, and the Fall did 18 million albums and Dexys did 5.
Yeah.
So the two extremes, really.
I'm a big fan of Kevin. I did give him a letter. Offering my services, but never heard back. So I'll ask again tonight.
Well, they don't do much. They've not been doing much. You could have got the Olympic ceremony, couldn't you? Was it the Olympics? Where did Dexys play?
Was it the Commonwealth Games?
Commonwealth? I can't remember. Anyway, some big sport around. Right, well, I'm going to let you go, Darren. That's great. Lovely to speak to you. And I hope everything goes all right.
I've really enjoyed it, fellas. Lovely to see you both and to speak to you.
Yeah, no doubt our paths will cross on the road.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Old Brother. You can find all our previous episodes on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be hosted at shows.acast.com/o-brother. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and tell your friends about us. Episodes are released every second Friday, so watch for the next episode in 2 weeks. See you next time, and remember, if you're driving, take your car. Ta-da.